Hello, everybody. Welcome back to How Come. I'm so excited for this episode. We are talking to my friend Betsy Carroll and my other friend Lola Jean. You know both of them from previous seasons. And we are talking about this cool event that Lola threw and that Betsy and I attended called Cirque Du Squirt. Yes, it is basically a sex show. You might remember Betsy, we went to a sex party together, but this is different. And Lola stars in it, and we talk about the fact that this whole thing is basically centered around the fact that Lola is the world champion for volume squirting. So if you want a squirting episode, this one is the one for you. We talk about a lot of other really fun stuff. But before we get started, I just wanted to do some housekeeping. I realized I haven't talked about any of the assignment outcomes so far. So I just want to tidy that up. For anyone who's new here, I've been going through somewhat of an orgasm drought and I've been trying to bring it back. So people have been giving me assignments again. One of those assignments was from Carol Montgomery. She asked me to just visualize like somebody really sexy walking towards me and like doing breathing exercises and then trying to masturbate or not even trying to fully come. And it was a really fun exercise. I really do like visualizing somebody not walking towards me, but like specifically somebody like really hot with like a boner over me, which if you listen to this episode, you're like, a boner? You'll be like, what? But yeah, if it's a person that I'm really into, and there was a scene in a show that I discussed where someone was really hot, and I don't want to say it because like I act and like someday I might work with this person, but pictured that person over me with a boner. And that is really fun. It is kind of what I was doing in the episode that I talked about, a little breakthrough with Charlotte. But I tried just the walking towards me thing and it didn't really work. So that's no disrespect to Carol. It could totally work for somebody else. And if you want to hear that assignment better, go back and listen to the menopause episode. And then Lindsay Metzelar also gave me an assignment to use a blanket between my legs and kind of like have it go back and forth. I think I don't have the right blanket. I think all the blankets I have are like a little too big. It did feel good, but it didn't get me to orgasm. Also, I think my head has just been in other places. Like I've just been thinking about the state of the world and like, yeah, if I'm not like listening to something or watching something that's like taking me out of my everyday, it is very hard to just do those assignments. So maybe if you want to do those assignments, do them in tandem with something else, maybe audio porn, maybe something visual, or if you're able to like clear your brain and get meditative with it, that could work too. But yeah, that's where I was at. In this episode, you'll hear that I hadn't even done the Lindsay assignment yet because I was just so stressed. I have done it now. It didn't work for me, but that's okay. Betsy and Lola have two amazing assignments, and I'm very excited for you to hear them. Also, much like putting off masturbating, I've been putting off editing, but we have 3 amazing episodes that are unedited on patreon.com/howcome that are already out now. And one of them is with the incredible Rachel Bloom. There's video. Highly recommend going to watch that. Robin is also on that episode. If you've been missing her, a lot of the recordings I've been doing recently have been in real life, so she's not able to be here, but she is on the Rachel Bloom episode. So if you miss her, go check that out. And very, very excited for you guys to hear this episode. So what are we doing? What am I edging you for? Let's get started.
How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz.
Today's guests are both returning guests. One has been on twice, one has only been on once. They were both season 1 people, and everybody knows what I'm going through now. Oh, drought. So we're bringing season 1 back. And they are my friend, Betsy Carroll. Welcome, Betsy.
Hi.
Hi, love you. Missed
Love
you on
you.
the pod.
Yay.
And sex educator, headmistress of 7 Days of Domination, and world record holder for volume squirting, Lola Jean.
Oh, it's good to be back.
Welcome, Lola.
Thank you.
So, Betsy,
Yeah, baby.
you and I attended a sex party, which
Yeah.
was your first episode on the podcast. And the way that we opened that episode was me basically telling everybody how excited you were when I finally had achieved my orgasm.
Yeah.
When you found out that they had dried up, how did it make you feel?
It made me feel like kind of weirdly like, this sounds bad, but like better. I don't know. Like I've been going through some sort of a
Ooh,
time,
yeah.
which I've talked to you about, of like some sort of feeling of like regressing in my different areas of like growth. And so I'm like, oh, everyone has it made me feel better because I'm like, okay, like I know you're going to get through that. So I'm like, okay, I will too. I'll figure out what's going on with me too, you know, which is like, I think just a part of this age that we're at.
Yeah. Which I also thought when I told you that you would be like so sad because of how happy you had been. And like, I thought I'd be letting you and like a bunch of other people down, but like it made me happy that you were actually happy.
I was not happy that it's happening, but I was like, oh, okay, like we're ready to handle this. Like it's not our first rodeo. And also, I don't know, when you just see things from the outside, you're obviously one of my best friends. And I just didn't know you were going through that. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not alone in when I go through stuff and I don't feel like telling my friends, because I'm like, that's kind of what I was thinking about. You know, when you're going through something and you're like, I don't even want to tell someone about this that I'm close to, because then it's like, I have to just get into it. Maybe I'd rather deal with it
Then
internally and tell them afterwards.
Then it's real.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
you have to deal with the thing and people are like, hey, like, how is it going? Like, and FYI, companions, Betsy found out after you guys. Like I was so embarrassed to say it to them, but I was even more embarrassed to say it to people in my life. And like Charlotte found out during the episode that we recorded. Yeah. Like, so everybody's on the same page
also
now.
why you wouldn't want to tell everybody like right away. It's sort of like, I imagine like a guy having ED. If you know, sometimes it actually does. You're not sure if you should talk about it or like acknowledge it as a problem, because then it cements it. It is like a mental.
Yeah.
In this case, especially, it is a mental thing.
But if you're having ED, go to the doctor, because it could be a
health
indication of another health issue.
Yeah, totally.
What's the response you've been met with?
Oh, mostly what Betsy has said. Everyone's been like, oh yeah, I have gone through one of those before, and like this is how I got out of it, or I'm going through one right now. And I was like, oh, I should have told everybody. Wait, have you ever gone through a drought?
I mean, I guess I don't like
as a
really,
champion squirter?
No, I mean, the thing, I have a much more complicated relationship with pleasure as someone who squirts so much, because I hate it a lot of the time.
Really?
And I think when I heard that about you, it's just like, oh man, that's going to just make you so gosh darn relatable. Because like as people who part of our careers is sharing things publicly and being vulnerable so much that I don't really even know what vulnerability means anymore after I show the world my vagina. Like, what else can I do?
We've both seen it.
It's these things where when I'm able to like live it out loud, like so many people are going through this, and I don't know if I consider them droughts as much. It's more of ebbs and flows, and it's always meeting my body where it's at. And I think a lot of it could relate to libido, to finding something that excites you, to even between like partners that I have or have had where we can't find what our middle ground is. And like finally we find the thing that both of us get excited about, or a position or a maneuver or something like that. And these things can just take time and patience, and our bodies are going to continuously change. Just wait till we go through menopause, baby.
Oh my God. Yeah. We just did an episode on menopause, and Carol could not have been less relatable, because she was like, I've never lost my orgasm in my life.
Cool.
Yeah. But I think that also would give a bunch of people hope that it's like, oh, you're not doomed.
Yeah.
And not that this is doom, but it's like that may not even happen for you. Yeah. I don't even know if drought is the right word. It definitely was for like 5 to 6 months. Like there was like nothing. But at this point, I would say, I'm going to keep using the word drought just because that's how it feels. Sometimes there is rain in a little drought. But I guess, yeah, you're right that it's mostly ebbs and flows. Like I've had a suggestion of an orgasm, which I talked about on Charlotte's episode. And I've had, some things since, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, I think it's mostly just a long period of ebb and then like some little flows sometimes. So you've never had a period of time where like you couldn't come?
I don't think of it as that because I have a hard time reaching orgasm a lot of the time for
Really?
like the ways I'd like to, especially when it comes to partnered sex. So
Oh my God.
what I kind of play it as is it's almost like a big game of edging for me because I love teasing and I love the feeling of like being aroused and stimulated, and maybe I can't finish, but that's just kind of like the amuse-bouche toward the next time that I get to finish. So
sure.
it's like this constant roller coaster until I'm able to have the crescendo.
That's so interesting. And I think that's such like a great way to look at it too, because some people might be like, oh yeah, I can't do it every day. And it's like, okay, but what if it's just like the lead up
Right, that's
to
just
the
a
big one at the
longer-
end of the month?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because
Yeah.
usually when I squirt, I'm not orgasming.
I didn't know that. That is, I kind of was wondering about that.
Yeah.
But how do you like get to the point where you're then separating them?
I mean, it happened really early on. For a lot of people, the first time they squirt is when they're orgasming
Yeah.
because that's when, you are losing control. It's a release. So all the things happen at once. And usually when I'm orgasming, I'm also squirting. But they were separated quite early for me. And I think as people begin to understand their relationship with squirting, so since I've come on and I've like really upped my game as an educator, I've created new language for squirting of a broad response squirter and then a specific response squirter.
Okay.
So two types of squirters, one being somebody who squirts in response to a specific type of stimulation or movement or technique, and another person, which is myself, which I don't know, might be you, is someone who just squirts anytime they receive a certain level of pleasure. It doesn't matter what it is necessarily or where it's going. Once they hit a certain level of pleasure, the squirting is going to happen.
I think that could be me, just because I remember the first orgasm I squirted first before there was any orgasm itself.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's the thing that made me like run to the bathroom, because I was like, I don't want to like wet my bed.
Yeah. So usually the broad response squirters are ones where it's like that's when squirting is just happening early and often and all the time. And the thing I think that's most annoying is most people associate squirting with orgasming. So I have to do a lot of educating in
Yeah.
bed. And I have to do a lot of telling people, ooh, was that an orgasm? No, it wasn't. And that kind of gets disappointing after a while.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
don't-
just a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, I don't know if we've even talked about your squirting on this podcast. I know that we did it at the live show.
Yeah.
When was it that you discovered that you were a squirter, and when did you decide to make it like a competition type of thing? Because it takes a lot to be a record holder.
I know. I'm very competitive though. So
Yeah.
that one wasn't too far of a cry once I discovered I was good
Really
at
good
it.
at it, yeah.
I guess we could say noteworthy. So the first time that I knew that I squirted, because I may have squirted before this, but a lot of people, the first time they squirt, they do not know unless someone alerts them to it.
That that's what's going on.
Correct. Or
Yeah.
they have a lot of physical evidence. And so I have distinct memories of like, I think the first orgasm I had, which also happened after I've had sex and had people go down on me for the first time, which was a little sad. But the first orgasm that I had, I remember like saying, talking about how wet it was. So I'm like, maybe I squirted then, but I didn't know. Not really sure.
Yeah.
So the first time that I knew I did, because someone told me about it, was they were going down on me when I was like 25 or 26, something like that. And they were like, oh, you squirted. Is that a thing that you do? And I was like, I guess. And then they're like, okay, cool. Which I'm so glad that was their response, is they
Yeah.
let me establish my relationship with it. Instead
Yeah.
of being like, oh my God, that's so hot. I'm the best person ever, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, then after that, it was like, bed's destroyed, create a lot of liquid, no denying it. And then the person, like, we stopped seeing each other after that for reasons unrelated to the squirting. But then that's when I took to my own masturbation, figuring out this thing that my body could do that I didn't know it could do. And yeah, then couldn't really turn the faucet off after that point. But it was something really cool where I was like, okay, if my body can do this thing I didn't know it can do, like, what else is there?
What else can I do?
What's that?
It's
Yeah.
from Encanto.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it became competitive because, I started working in sex ed not too long after that because the curiosity killed the cat, or killed the pussy, I guess, at this point. So I was trying to consume a lot of education, and also I didn't like the squirting education that was out there because I was like, this is not my experience.
Yeah.
My body can disprove what you're saying. There has to be something else. There has to be something from the perspective of the person squirting and not like the making someone squirt thing.
Yeah.
And that was when I was working with Kenneth Play and Dr. Jana, and she was talking about the max amount a person could squirt. And I was always jokingly like, yeah, I could crush that though.
Yeah.
And people I had like had relations with and had sex with and whatnot were commenting on my volume. So I knew it was of note, but I'd never measured it. And when I looked it up in Guinness, that's when it was like, this doesn't exist. I just had the max amount science says someone can squirt.
Wow.
Yeah. So like it started really as a joke.
Amazing. Started as a joke, became a record. And let's just backtrack for a second.
Okay.
So the reason why we're all here on this episode
Yes.
today is because once I came out with the information of the orgasm drought or whatever, a bunch of people started DMing me. Lola was one of those people just to be like, hey, like thinking of you. And also I have this event going on called Cirque Du Squirt, which she's been running for years and I've never been able to attend. And she was like, come if you want to, pun intended. And I messaged Betsy because Betsy has been to a sex party with me before and also is just like one of my most down friends.
Thank you.
Like, you always just convince me to do fun things and do things for the experience. And I texted her and she was like, oh shit, I have plans tonight. And I was like, oh, okay, never mind. It's not meant to be. She's like, I canceled the plan.
It's like, this is a once in a lifetime thing. This is cool. Yeah. I'm so glad that we went. It was really interesting to me. And it was like really moving. Remember? I was like sobbing. I don't know.
Really? I want to hear about this.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, we'll get into it, obviously.
Yeah.
But your show, I was like, I don't know. Also, because of what you were going through, I was like, this is so like powerful.
Yeah. So explain Cirque Du Squirt for anybody who's not ever heard of it.
Yeah. So Cirque Du Squirt is not a sex party.
No.
It is really just a performance party. So it all started actually when I first set the world record. It was called Kinky Carnival at that point. And it was just because I was going to set the record.
World record for volume squirting.
This is true.
I always thought it was length.
No.
She says no, it's volume.
It's volume, yes. That is my skill. Distance is not my skill. That one I can't control as much.
Can I ask you a question
Yes.
about it? I remember you saying that the Guinness, they didn't have a record for it, right? So did you get them to put one in or did you make your own?
I applied.
Yeah.
And I got rejected because they said, we don't do sexual records. We're a family organization. Guinness, the family organization.
But don't they have a lot of weird, like how big
They
a
have-
dick is and stuff?
How far someone can squirt milk out of their eye. That's their squirting record.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, it's funny because like every once in a while I'll like Google myself and there was like someone talking about my record and they're like, get ready, this is the grossest record we've ever read about. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's not, yeah.
Where does the milk from the eye even come from?
They like pour it in, I
I
think.
think yeah, because like all of your face holes are connected.
Oh, so they like
gross.
suck it up
They-
through the nose or
yeah,
something like that. Okay.
It's
Or
like
through the
that's
mouth.
not as gross. No, okay.
Yeah. Doesn't sound healthy.
No,
Okay, so that was in
2018.
yeah.
I think something around there.
And so you wrote to them, they were like, we won't do this. How did you circumvent that?
So I think after that I felt a little defeated and it took me it was like another year. I think a friend of mine was just like, you should just do it by yourself for the PR stunt and say that Guinness rejected you, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until like a TV show for Epics wanted to do like one of their docu-series episodes on me, and I had talked about this. We're like, that's great, let's do it. And I was like, okay, I have a film crew, now I just need journalists and a crowd, and I'll just do the same exact thing to Guinness standards so that it's like set up in a way that if people want to beat it, they can. But the stipulations are that it's only with your person, so no other toys, no partners, because people always email me and they're just like, and then I can beat your record. It's like, then do it. I'm
Yeah.
not stopping you. But it's always like, okay, me and my partner are going to do it. I'm like, no.
It
Just
has
you and
to
your
be
hand.
You and your hand
Yeah.
tonight.
Now, I don't penetrate myself when you do it, but that's not in the rules. You're allowed to penetrate yourself.
Okay. I love that you made up the rules though too.
Well, I made it so that I really don't think people can beat me.
Oh my gosh. But of course that must mean someone can. You know what I mean? It's
Right,
like
yeah.
it's like the first time people started playing like basketball. Like anytime there's a new category of thing, like the first people now when you look back at like Olympic gymnasts, like they look so bad.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, who's going to be my Simone Biles, huh?
right? Because now people like see it and then they can beat it. Like there was nothing to.
Yeah,
there
there
was no,
used
like,
to
public-
just be single axles. Now there's quadruples.
Yeah, same with like I don't know.
But
I don't-
also like the equipment that you use is different. Like in tennis, it's like you can't think about like, oh, would that tennis player be able to take that one? It's like that guy was playing with a wooden racket.
Yeah. I think it is also just about like things becoming a public display for the first time leads to like intense competition. Like I love watching like the bodybuilder documentaries on like, and even that has just like changed so much over the years, like the standard of what used to be considered a good bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And now they like look so different. I don't mean, maybe people are going to start using performance enhancing drugs to squirt more.
Yeah,
Someone
maybe.
will probably become competitive with you and try to beat it.
They are welcome
You should
to. The
throw
thing is,
something
like,
called the competition.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. It's also like these events cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
To put in, and a lot of times I just break even, and people are just like, "Oh, can you throw an event for me to break your record?" And I'm like,
No.
this is a
feel
lot
like
of
you should be
work.
making
You
so
throw
much
your
from that
event,
event.
hire me,
Yeah.
pay me for my time and my fluids.
Yeah, well, they just think it's like, oh, whatever.
Well, it
Not
is
a big
the
deal.
thing is it's a fun name, Cirque du Squirt,
Yeah.
and the event is fun itself. So basically, we go, and I would say it's half performance, but also half games.
Yeah.
In the beginning, like Betsy and I showed up, and there was like a fishing game where you would hook a hoop
Yeah.
on a dildo. Like you had to like pick the dildo up. What was that game called?
Upright the dildo.
Upright the dildo.
Get
okay.
it up, if you will.
Another game that Betsy had to fasten on a giant butt, and
love
I
that
had to
game.
put on a strap on. This was my first strap on ever.
Really?
Yeah, and I had to they blindfolded me, spun me around a few times, and then I had to like find her and put my little dick in her hole.
Yeah, that was fun. I liked myself with that big butt on. I was like, I think this is like the body I want. I like watched the video of myself over and over.
Yeah, and she was like running around the room like I was like Marco,
It's like
and she's
Marco
like Polo.
So cute.
One of the other games was just cornhole, but it was with like buttholes, not like actual buttholes, but like butthole photos on the cornhole board.
One good one was the racing like of vibrators.
Vibrating racing, yeah.
Yeah, there was like a kind of like sticky or like had some friction surface, so you couldn't just like slide it. It was like you had to guess which one would like inch across faster based on how it moved. That was cool.
Yeah.
I won that one.
For some reason, though, I was so nervous before going because I read like the games that would be there, and it was like, oh, like throw a ring on a penis or whatever. And for some reason, in my head, I pictured. First of all, I always picture Lola's events at a gymnasium. I don't know why,
I give that vibe.
but I pictured a gymnasium full of like just like erect guys on the floor, and I was like, oh, like that's will be the ring toss. And I started like to spiral a little bit because I was like, and I said this to you, I was like, I feel after all of these years of doing How Come, I'm still like, I hate to use the word, but like prudish about
Yeah, you said that, and I was like, no, you're not.
yeah.
And then you were like, no, think about it. I kind of am. And I was like, I guess you're right. Like, you're not prudish, but I think you're a little bit more like
Scared.
scandalized. Yeah. I was like, I remember you were like scared. I was like, Remy, they're not going to like force you to do it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's a show or a party. It doesn't mean that you're going to have to be at whatever level that it's like being afraid of going to the circus because you're afraid you're going to have to tightrope walk.
Right.
Like they don't want you to do it.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
they got a whole thing
What's
planned.
funny is the very first Cirque du Squirt that we had, when I had someone who was going to be the cock ring toss person who like wears the strap on, I guess I didn't clarify it enough for him either. And like, given the context, I'd worked with him before because he had been my stunt cock for a couple of classes. And like a couple days before, he's like, I'm just going through some really hard times right now, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to like keep
Get
an
hard.
erection for your whole show. And I was like, baby, you are wearing a strap on over your pants. Like, this is not that.
Yeah, I didn't even think for a second. I was like, how would they stay hard for the whole party?
Wait, what do you mean a stunt cock for a class?
There was like a dick class I would do in person, and I needed somebody who I knew, and he was like my friend's boyfriend, because like I don't really like men or penises that much unless I like the man or the person who has the penis. So I needed something like non-threatening in that realm. So he was kind of my go-to because it's like, cool, you're my friend's partner. You're friends with a lot of my friends. You get excited in front of other people, which is kind of what you need for a dick class because that is a very intimidating thing. So he was out a couple of times.
Yeah, Lola has lots of classes.
I know.
You guys
Can we
should
hear
check-
more about it? Or
Yeah, for sure. I was
Can I
going to
hear
say
more
check
about-
out the website, but let's hear it from the horse's
yeah,
mouth.
just because what kind of classes? I feel like all my girlfriends, I want to get them to do that.
So over the pandemic, I transitioned so many, if not all of my classes to online to make them both more accessible to other people, but then just also easier, lower overhead for me too. So I do have a couple of live classes. Most of them are still online because then anyone can attend them and not just New York people. But that one is called Hand Blow and Other Jobs.
Wow.
And I make it all about the giver and making life easier and more enjoyable for the giver. My boyfriend likes to say that I don't like giving blowjobs. And I'm like, I guess to be fair, I don't like doing it for that long. But the thing is just like, I don't like blowjobs. I like if I like the person, I like to please them in many ways.
Yeah.
But I don't inherently like blowjobs and I don't inherently like dicks. But I like doing a lot of hand stuff and I like also being lazy. So
I was going to say, I feel like you have to like sell like a neck support in that class or something, or just like tell people to like lie flat down and then have the person with the dick just like come back and forth. Like,
oh, see, I hate that too.
oh, really?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of
I like being an active participant. I don't like feeling like used.
No, I'm not saying like
throat
fuck
fucked.
the throat. I'm just saying like they are more like standing above you, so you don't have to do as much neck bobbing.
Yeah.
It could be like it's going by like perpendicularly.
You know, that is kind of one of the moves. That's
Is
what I
it?
call the trifecta. We got a little bit of mouth action, hand action, and then external prostate play as well.
I'm sure they love it.
When people come to these classes, it's on Zoom, so are they at home doing the stuff too?
If they want to.
Can they have their cameras off too?
Yeah, I don't. When I am doing an
Yeah.
online class, I do not care if people's cameras are on or not. If one person says maybe I'll look at it, but if it's a class where I'm like doing stuff and I'm not just talking to the screen, I don't pay attention.
Yeah, you're doing your thing.
Also, like I said, I don't want to see other people's penises. I really don't, especially on Zoom. So like I've done like masturbation classes for people with penises, and I'm like, I get so much anxiety about it beforehand because I'm like, I don't want to see other people's dicks,
Yeah.
especially people who want me to see their dicks.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I choose what penises I see.
Yeah.
You just actually close the Zoom
Can you
window
do that?
entirely.
Yeah. Can you turn off?
Oh
their
yeah,
cameras for
yeah.
them?
Like, or I can turn off their cameras, or I just don't look at them because my screen
Yeah.
is the one that's large.
Yeah.
But when I used to do these in person, it would be like we would have like a massage table where the demonstration was happening, and then people would sit around on chairs. But it wasn't a like class where you're going to meet a random person and then do this. Or sometimes
Right.
people bring their partners. I'm very choosy with what classes that I'll have be hands-on and participatory or not, just because that then just makes the environment feel a lot less safe for people, or people maybe feel like, oh no, what if I'm gonna see an errant penis? Like, and then they don't want to come to the
That's how I was
class.
feeling. I was like, oh, I'm going to walk into this place. I'm going to want to just see a show, and there's going to be guys hard lining the walls.
And in fact, there was only one cis male that I had working that night too, which is very intentional.
Yeah,
Intentional,
I think I didn't notice that, but now looking back on it, I'm like, that makes sense. But also, it might surprise a bunch of people your feelings about
I know.
penises and
Yeah.
doing what you do.
Yeah, I feel like of also just like being a dominatrix too, like that's just the consensus you will come to if you work in this industry a lot. Although I say that, and like my work wife hates men, loves dicks.
Also a possibility.
Yes. So many different ways.
I'm still thinking about these Zoom classes. I think it's great that they're on Zoom, because I'm just thinking about a lot of friends that would like have. I'm gonna like tell them about this. I have a lot of friends that are like not very confident about their moves in that department, but don't see if once they're settled in with their partner, don't see a way that it's gonna really like that they're gonna
Improve.
learn any new tricks,
Yeah.
and they're kind of too embarrassed. I've even talked with some friends about like maybe like one of my friends told me she was feeling like that, and I was like, I would go to a class with you in person. She's like married now, and I was like, I was like, it would be a great surprise for your husband. Like that would be my gift to you guys, like to your husband. And she like chickened out because I think in person was freaky to her, just so too vulnerable. But the Zoom thing is like, that's so revolutionary for that kind of a
You
class.
don't have to leave the house and go a bunch of places and
you don't
see
have to
other
see
people.
them.
You can watch it
there.
with your
People see
partner.
you. Exactly, and you can learn together.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. That's cool.
I was hired for a bachelorette party to do this class by.
See, that's what that seems perfect for. Is like when you're entering that kind of relationship stage and you want to do something spicy still.
Yeah.
I was hired by the maid of honor, and the bride was her sister. And the maid of honor was just like, yeah, bring like a demo bottom so we can have like a live penis, etc. And I got there, and the bride
bottom.
That's what it's called, a demo bottom. So they're like,
The person is called a
stunt
demo
cock, demo bottom.
Okay.
Yeah. So if it was like a spanking class, it'd be my demo bottom. The
I'm
person
thinking of like
using.
a fake butt, like Betsy had to wear as a
Yeah.
demo bottom.
I was too.
I also bring those and use those. I have a lot of fleshlights that I use for class purposes. But I brought my boyfriend there. This was like early on. We were dating, and we got there, and the bride was very uncomfortable, and so we just used dildos for them the class. She's like, I do not want this. I'm not ready for it.
And he was cool with it?
My boyfriend?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he didn't care.
The one that I know?
Yeah, the one that you know.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was great because he's like, great, I get to do this thing.
Yeah,
we got a
that's
nice
so
little
cute.
paid time out here, and I don't have to take my pants off.
But he doesn't have
because-
performance anxiety in front of a room of women.
Wait, he did have to take his pants
No,
off.
No,
he
he did
didn't.
not.
He didn't end up having to do
and
it.
Oh,
you
right,
know
I get
what?
it now,
And
sorry.
the thing is like for a lot of this class, like a lot of it can work with a non-erect penis, so it didn't quite matter as much. But like I do once a year, he lends me his penis for our dick class online every Valentine's Day, and all the proceeds go to our vacations.
Romance.
That's so nice.
And financial planning.
You're right.
Wait, so can we get back to the world record?
Yes.
So you established the rules, and then did you have a bunch of people watching, and did you do it in like a certain kind of cup or vat or bucket or
that's
whatever?
What I was gonna say.
Yeah. So like me and a couple of people I was working with for this party, we had to determine, we're like, okay, are we going to like do it into a puppy pad and then weigh it
Yeah.
before and after? And we decided the best thing to do was I would squirt into this like kind of giant rubbery sort of wide bucket that you would like bathe a dog in. And we would take that and like fold it into a funnel that would then go into a measuring cup.
Great.
And then from there it was like, okay, well, 1 minute period is the smallest measurable period within Guinness. And I was asking my friend, like, I don't think I can squirt for an entire minute. Should I try to lengthen it out or just do it as fast as I can? And she's like, just do it as fast as you can. That seems more impressive. And so that's that. I set that record in, I believe, 2018.
You broke
and then I
it.
reset it
Yeah.
last year in 2022.
Amazing.
And what was that? I remember hearing that it was like one of those situations where the medical community just doesn't really have a lot of experience or interest in like documenting like female body stuff. So they were totally off when, like, I remember you saying that like the amount that they thought that doctors said was possible was like half of what you ended up,
It
or
was
something like that.
950 milliliters. And then when I broke it initially, it was 1,250 milliliters. And after that, the second time, 1,350.
So the initial number was 900 from the medical community.
Yeah, I believe it's like 900 milliliters from the
Okay.
medical community.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is like, you need to have a control, and you need to, like, with all these things, if you're going to have something like within medical records, and that's a very hard thing to do when it comes to squirting. Because it's like, okay, we're going to do the same technique to a bunch of people. It's like, okay, but if you did that technique to me before I knew I could squirt, I'm probably not going to squirt. Because, shocker, the person who's doing the squirting has a role in it.
Yeah.
They're not just like a limp body.
Yeah, no, they have to all go to your class and then do the same exact motion on themselves.
No, not even the same
No?
exact. Oh, I guess saying they have to all go to
For
my
fairness.
class, understand, and then the scientists will do the same exact motion.
Yes.
I was like, because everyone squirts in a totally different way. It's not all flicky bullshit, as I call it.
No. When they were saying 900, that was like the maximum amount that they thought somebody could squirt.
Yeah, usually what they say is like anywhere from 5 milliliters to 900 milliliters.
But that's not the average.
no, the average amount someone squirts is probably somewhere between 5 and 50 milliliters.
Wow.
And did you come either time that you set the record?
No,
No.
but it felt really good.
What does it feel like? Just a release?
Yeah. So a couple of things I liken it to is it feels like when you have to sneeze really badly, but you can't quite sneeze, and then you finally sneeze. Or if you have an itch that you can't really reach, and you're able to get in a weird position and reach it, or your friend itches it for you. Or if you're at like the top of the roller coaster right before you go down.
Nice.
But very much a release, and like, I mean, that feels good.
Yeah. Have you ever squirted? Okay.
I don't think so. I mean, no, I
Do you
definitely
aspire to?
Honestly, it's not like I'm against it. It's not that high on my list of goals because my goals are all like about whatever partner I'm with, getting them to be more like
Giving?
on my level. I'm just too much of a, always that. That's part of it. I think I am just like, I'm a loving kind of gal. I'm always the pursuer. I always end up being the pursuer. So it's like, and
The initiator.
yeah, I always end up being the more sexual one in a relationship, and it kind of breaks my heart. But I think it's like my lot in life. And I've also kind of realized that it's okay. Like I'm lucky. I have like this kind of, I don't have a lot of sexual function hangups that a lot of people end up having.
I was going to say we should remind everybody that your mom, Dr. Barbara
Yeah.
Bartlick, is a sex therapist.
My mom is a sex therapist.
And she's been on this podcast.
She's been on here. She's also been, I feel like just growing up, I had a very my parents are very in love. I knew they had sex. I know they still do.
Same.
And I think that that's nice and normal. So like when I go through a relationship when work is, ramping up and people get tired and lazy and they maybe don't want to like keep the honeymoon phase alive, that like is what breaks my heart and becomes my kind of permanent lot in life. Like that happens in every relationship I've ever been in, including my boyfriend who I'm obsessed with now. I'm kind of over it with him now, but I went through a phase of being like, oh my God, it even happened with him. He's the sweetest guy ever. And I know he loves me so much. And now I've realized, okay, there might have been some like emotional trauma even to make me think that it should stay at the honeymoon level all the time. Like maybe I just have trouble like adjusting to the ebbs and flows.
I was going to say ebbs and flows.
Exactly. And that is like kind of what I had a great talk with my dear BFF, Sarah P.
Love Sarah P.
Love her. She is like, and I told her I was like giving her my grievances. I'm like, I've always got the same grievances with a boyfriend. And, then I met Patrick, who I adore so much that I was like, I think I won't have that with him. And then started venting to Sarah. I was like, it's happened again. And she was like, wow, I'm just amazed that you thought that like in a loving long-term relationship, it's going to stay at that same level as in the very beginning. She's like, I mean, that never even occurred to me. Like, I just assumed that that's like, she's like, a lot of us feel kind of relieved, to be in a stable relationship because then you don't have to like worry as much. I was like, that's a good way to see it. I don't know. So I kind of got over it. I think I'm kind of healing.
You and I have the same thing though, where we're always the initiator.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to be like, that's okay as long as they're like nice to you,
right?
And they like are like, oh yes, responsive, like,
right?
Oh, you want to hook up? I'm down. Or they're like, not today, and it's nothing that you did,
Right.
Like I used to think it was like, oh, like they're just not into me if they're not initiating.
That's what I would think too. Yeah,
I think a lot of people end up like internalizing it. They think like, if we reversed it, we know that like there's so much going on in my day, or I know my brain's not going to be in it if we do it in the morning, etc.
Well, another thing too is like, speaking of that initiating thing, Rem, I was talking about this with my mom recently. We were like, I like to like have her answer like sex questions on Reddit, and I try to guess what she would answer, you know, to see if I'm like really a sex therapist yet, which I'm not, but I'm always like kind of right.
An armchair sex therapist.
Yeah. And so one of the questions that I had her answer was about like a guy writing in that his girlfriend just like, never initiates affection of any kind, not just a sexual thing. And her complaints kind of were like reminding me of an older version of myself. And like the way my mom answered it was, she was like, this is a real issue that a lot of men feel. Like a lot of men feel like they are the ones who have to pursue romance, like sexually or just physical touch affection. And their like spouses or partners will be like, what's the problem though? Like I'm receptive. It's just that you never give me enough time to like, if someone has more desire than the other person, it's just like a matter of like a math equation of like, you're going to run out of like juice in your cup before the other person if you just have a lower, like if you burn through that juice faster. So if you don't like purposely refrain from initiating, then they're not going to have any reason to initiate because like they're good for a longer amount of time. So my mom was like, what I would say to this person is, even if their natural cycle is shorter than the other person's, if really is someone initiating really is what would make them feel good, they need to like intentionally
pull back,
refrain and fill their own cup for a bit and like make it a little game with yourself. And I was like, that is interesting. I think that's kind of what I've learned to do over time is just be like, don't take it personally. Like maybe if what I really need from them is them to initiate it, then me initiating it isn't going to make me feel better, even if they're receptive, which is
just
sad.
go jack off.
Yeah, go jack off.
Yeah. There's like one that I really want to practice like with my partner and some like that I think would be beneficial to, I guess, everyone listening to this, but thinking of an activity where it gives you space and time to then understand if you do want to engage. So especially for the person, whether it's like lower desire, lower libido, whatever that is, it's doing an activity where like me and my boyfriend will be like, oh, let's just like kind of touch each other and just like run our hands on each other's like arms, not even sexual places.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we're not in a space where we can feel aroused yet.
Yeah.
Like arousal is not just like, ooh, dick hard, ooh, clit hard. Like it doesn't happen that quickly. So it's like, let's do this activity, or let's do erotic massage, or let me tickle this feather on your neck for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Seriously, try that one though.
Yeah.
But then you can decide if you're like, oh, actually, I think I can get turned on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that I've kind of noticed that too. And I think that I like read that's also more true for men. I read that in one of those books that I had you read back then, Rem, like the Ian Kerner book.
She comes first.
But I think it was in the other one.
He comes second? No, I don't know.
It was called He Comes Second. And
No,
then
I don't.
it was called that, and he changed the name. to,
Really?
like, the Passionista or something because men were like triggered. And he was like, they're like getting angry, but like it's like a nice book about them. But
She Comes First has the guava on it. He Comes Second, or Passionista has the banana.
It does, yeah. And it's some long fruit. But it was saying that also, like, if you have whatever like your gender or like whatever role you play in the relationship, like maybe someone is like more tensed up than the other person, and so that like part of it has to be like unwinding. And if you do the unwinding, what I noticed too is like I actually sometimes it's not really sexual what I need. It's like I just need love. So I don't need to have sex in those times. I actually just need to like have that kind of cuddly time.
That's what I was going to say before too, is like there's something where I'm like, it's not that I'm necessarily like horny all the time. It's that somewhere in my growing up, I implanted it into my brain that a relationship without sex is unsuccessful. So when I'm not feeling emotionally close to them, I'm like, let's patch this up with sex.
Yes.
You know?
I think I got that message too from also like, sadly, the types of guys I dated for years, and not all of them. If you're listening, some of you are not avoidant. No, but a lot of them are avoidant, or of just a more like I ended up being the one who's like more of the bleeding heart, like more of the open wound, when they were the more of the one who's just got trouble expressing emotions. So the only way a lot of them could express it was like sexually, you know, like that's how I would know they like loved me. So then if they didn't want to, I'm like, that's like worse, you know?
Right.
But then if someone is
I am the avoidant who has trouble expressing my emotions too.
really,
Yeah.
That's why she's got to tickle people with feathers all the time.
but maybe then, but you do like have like a nice physical relationship. So then you do express it that way, which is nice. Like I think that also it's okay if you express it that way. Like any boyfriend I've had, as long as they do that, that's fine. But it does if you can't like express things verbally, you are like I'm watching you. Like if you dip it at all, I think you're like cheating on me, you know? Or something. Or like not even cheating. I never even get to the point of worried that they're cheating. I always just think they like don't love me anymore. So I'm too annoying. Like I would never worry about them cheating on me because I'm like, I've already driven them away before they would get there is what I think, you know?
I just feel like avoidants always get like really bad raps, and it's just like, no, we just have different trauma than the anxious types do.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
like we just have different ways of like dealing with things.
Yeah.
No, I don't give them a bad rap. I think that like, honestly, I don't. I think it's like two sides of the same coin, and they're, you know, I think they make a good compliment a lot of the time. Like someone who can compartmentalize is good for someone who is kind of emotionally a fountain.
Yeah. I mean, it's just being able to like understand what your attachment style is and being able to communicate with that someone so they know that what it means when you pull back and then what they need to do.
Sometimes you're just protecting yourself.
It's usually you're just protecting yourself.
But what you were saying too about like a non-sexual activity or whatever, like Ben and I have been doing something recently where I'm like, can we just get naked and writhe? Like with zero expectation of actually having sex. Like I just want to like put my naked skin on your naked skin and like move around or whatever. And then, but literally with zero intention of having sex and then like, and be like, and then go to sleep. But if we are both feeling it, correct, then we are also allowed to have sex.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, let's do this thing and then we'll have a check-in.
Exactly.
Afterwards. And like the answer can still be no.
Yeah. And the same goes for like back tickles or massages.
Yeah.
Like most nights we'll set a 7-minute timer for each of us for a massage.
That's so cute.
The other day I broke mine up for the first time. I was like, would this be crazy if I did like scratches for half and then massage for half? And he was like, it's not crazy, but like, do you really want that? I'm like, yeah, I really like, this is what I want right now.
Scratches?
Yeah.
Aw.
And I feel like I have to like reiterate that for anybody who has like trouble communicating in the bedroom or like telling people like what they want to do down there or saying like up or left or right or hard or whatever, like start it with back tickles.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? Like, okay, up, okay, to the side, okay, down, stay there. Yes, yeah. Like it's the same
so
thing.
Normal.
It seems so much more normal.
And like less scary to do.
Yeah. And then you just get comfortable with being like, yeah. Okay, so let's get back to Cirque Du Squirt.
Yeah.
So we talked about the games, and then the second half is a performance.
Multiple performances.
Many performances, which I would liken to like a sex show, and I don't want to say a freak show because it's not.
I mean, but it's a take on it. Because
But
if you
it's a
think of the
take-
classic carnival,
like
there's the
vaudeville.
freak
Yeah.
show, the
Yeah.
games, the carnies, all of that.
Okay,
'Cause,
if you say it's fair, I will say it's a sex freak show.
I make the games intentionally difficult because that's what makes them fun. They're not all super easy because
No, they're
then you wouldn't
tough.
play them for long.
Yeah. And if you've ever been to somewhere like the Box or something where you'll see, like, it's not just like, I don't know where you would go to see quote unquote normal run of the mill sex stuff.
I feel like a classic. So I always tell the performers that I hire is like a classic burlesque does not cut it for Cirque Du Squirt. It's
burlesque,
not just like,
exactly.
Ooh, look at
It's not
my
just-
titty tassel.
Yes.
It's like, no, what's in your hole? Like,
Yeah.
make me leave the room.
Yeah, that was wild. I think I did leave the room for
You
one
did.
part. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk about that. So upon going in, we ran into your boyfriend
Yeah.
who I love dearly.
That was
and
so
he was
cute.
like, by the way, you guys, like, trigger warning. There are some acts with needles in them. And I was like, oh, like, and I got like really scared because like I said, I was already like, there's going to be so many hard guys and now there's needles. And like, I don't know what to do.
Are the needles in the hard guy?
Yeah. Are they in the hole? Are they through the peen? Actually, I would love to see that.
My work wife does that.
Really?
So at a kink convention, she did a scene where she nailed someone's dick to a board.
No.
And after that, every time she entered a room, she got a standing ovation.
Oh my God.
There was something really like respectable about watching that stuff. For me, that was fine. It was the food stuff. But no,
Okay.
back to that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So it pricked me up and I was like, oh no, maybe I really won't be able to handle this or whatever. And then we came inside and we talked to you and you were like, that's his thing with it.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be fine. But also it is good to have a warning. And during the show, there were warnings that were like, if blood stuff bothers you, like maybe look away.
That's
And
a
then-
really big trigger for people.
Yeah. And my thing was, I'm going to watch until I can't anymore. And I was fine pretty much the whole time. And then the reason why it's called Cirque Du Squirt is because you do an act at the end of it where there is lots of squirting and stuff. But can we talk about the various acts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, really quickly, I do want to say
Yeah.
my memory of how we ran into your boyfriend.
Yeah.
It was so funny and so cute. Remy was like, I'm kind of nervous. And I knew she was nervous about like maybe being exposed to too many dicks. She didn't want to. And he was like, well, yeah, I mean, you're right. There is blood. And I was like, I could tell immediately that was like something that he's extra scared of, like as an individual. And Remy, you were like, really, there is? And he was like, I mean, I'll tell you exactly what minutes of the show to leave. I was like, there's like 1 minute. There's like, I could tell it's like the end of a few acts. I'm like, I can tell it's not going to be like watching Saw, and it wasn't, but you could tell he was so triggered by that he was like, I know exactly what parts to leave. And I was like, Remy, I think we'll be able to tell, like, it's not going to be that scary. And then when we came in, you were like, oh yeah, it's like, it's still sexy. It's not all like the craziest shit, but if you're, scared of it.
If you have a little phobia, maybe take a walk around the block. So the show opens with this drag queen. I can't remember her name. Glowjob. Duh. And it was so good because she did this whole thing of like bringing fruits out of a picnic basket and then like crushing them and stuff, which was very Cirque du Squirt. It was like, okay, so we're watching juices flow, but we're starting in a really like easy, manageable way. And it was like grapes, and then I think like a guava or something like that, and then she squeezed a watermelon between her thighs, and those were the strongest thighs I've ever seen. And I was like, okay, this is when we all start to get horny. That act was amazing. I don't think anybody looked away from it or like had an issue with it. The next act was really funny, and it was this person dancing with a wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. And they were like an acrobat and stuff and fully clothed, but again, sexy. Like it was really, I'm sure that this was intentional, that you were like ramping up the sexiness.
I pride myself on my curation.
It was
Absolutely.
like, okay, cool. Like, so we're like a little bit horny, and now we're watching like a person with like, and we're seeing like their whole body, but it's like covered. And so everyone's like still cool with it. Not that anybody there would have not, but it was just a good ease. It was like sex, it was like, like
it had to be in that order.
Don't just go straight for the hole.
Truly.
It was like, this was like a little of like the caressing the arms and the kissing of the neck. Then we went for the hole. There was an act where a dominatrix came out with her pretty little...
Oh, that was cool,
puppet. And stapled a bunch of stuff to the puppet and also put lipstick on their mouth and like smeared it everywhere. And so there was some blood, but then she made the puppet suck her dick. Like she had a strap on, and I did not realize how turned on I would be by that. Like, also the puppet was so pretty.
She was super
I'm not sure. I want to say that they're non-binary, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it was, they had a mustache and lipstick on, and I was obsessed.
That one, we had a really horrible sound person that night. But the way that act was supposed to go, because one of my friends at our business's third birthday party, we just had the stage open and people could do whatever scenes they wanted. And New York dominatrixes are just a bunch of bloodthirsty bitches. They love their blood. They love their needles. There is no shortage. And one of my friends did like a human marionette act and turned someone into a marionette with staples and needles.
She like almost did that.
I thought that's
what I wanted her to do, because I saw that and I was like, could you do that? But then at the end, turn them into a marionette and make them do the bye 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 dance.
Hilarious.
And that's what was supposed to culminate into, but like the music got messed up and
see, because I could see that, because all of that music was like early 90s pop, and like so you're watching this person get stapled and shit, but you're also like,
I'm a genie in a bottle, baby.
Like we were all like singing
also
along.
We did say that. I was like, oh my God, they got all the way there to making this person a marionette. And then they didn't. So it was because a song got skipped.
Or some, I don't know what happened.
I'm glad to have this conversation, because we were like, the zip ties were on there. Like it all was leading to it. It was literal edging and then just leaving us.
Truly,
but still,
we all had a ruined orgasm.
Still hot and horny. The next person was a drag performer that was like dressed like flesh, like basically flesh, and it was like the best lip sync I've ever seen. And I don't know what the fascination is with blood and guts, but this person like ripped open their
flesh outfit,
their flesh chest, and revealed a bunch of organs, and then took off their flesh hat and revealed like a brain and stuff. And I was like, I'm like, really? interested in this, but like, like why is it because everyone is like fucked so much that they're like, I need to get deeper?
Yeah.
To me, it was a fun take on burlesque, which is about undressing and revealing. It was just doing it
and
to
it
a different
undressed
level.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so we made it through all of that. It was amazing. And then we get to this performer whose name is Chartreuse.
I
And
love this
Chartreuse is so fucking funny. And their whole performance was about selling corn dogs. And they were like, corn dog, get your corn dog. And they were like, I've never even tried one of these in all of my years, like selling corn dogs. And so they start eating it, and then like the music, like it's like
It's
like
corn.
Yeah, is it corn? It sounded like
so
corn.
good.
Yeah, it's corn, dog. And so then they like, besides just like eating a bunch of them and going crazy, they start blowing the corn dogs. Then they start taking their top off and rubbing the corn dog all over their tits. Then they take their pants off and they are like fucking the corn dog.
Oh, I didn't
and
see that.
You didn't?
Oh
Okay,
my
so
God.
why
I left
did-
because I
why
couldn't
didn't you
handle
s-
the food stuff. Like I get so grossed out by food where I look at people eating food really grossly, and it's not like a sexual, like I was like, I'm more into blood than this, or I'm
Wow.
like, when I see people eating a food thing gross, I like almost like get so nauseous. I told you that night. I was like, that's how like that powerful it is for me that I'm like, I can't even stay in here or I'm gonna like lose my lunch.
Yeah, you also mentioned to me that you had a Blue Man experience.
Oh yeah, Blue Man
Group Tubes. It has traumatized many a child in the New York City area, which people
you
might
go to-
not
I did
realize.
go to, but I'm trying to think of what part traumatized you.
There's so much stuff where they were just regurgitating food onto the audience.
Was that when it was like the things they would chew that would be blue?
No, they were blue.
They're blue. If you guys haven't seen Blue Man, it's 3 bald blue men, usually with bald caps, and they do these like tricks and stuff. They'll play
They don't even
music.
shave their heads.
I mean, they might. Who
I'm
knows?
disappointed. I hope so.
I don't know.
I thought they were kind of hot with the bald heads.
And being blue.
Yeah.
But they also do this thing where they'll have one throw marshmallows into the other one's mouth from like across
I remember
the
that one.
stage,
Yeah.
and they fit so many marshmallows in their mouths. There's also a part where they like chew up a banana and spit it into the audience.
Yeah.
And this is the part I think that traumatized you. It also traumatized this kid I used to know who does not eat fruit anymore because of the Blue Man experience.
Yeah. I don't eat fruit either to begin with. And
I
I'm
think
already
it's the
kinda
Blue Man
like-
thing.
I think it's for me, food is always like, like sensory issues for me surrounding food since I was a kid. So it's like, I barely got through all of those to have like a somewhat normal diet now. I used to only eat like pasta until like I was a teen. So I'm like, I got there and got myself to be able to not be disgusted by food. It just means that like I can only eat like French fries and chicken tendies, which is not good, So like
Only
I
the
find-
beige food.
Exactly. And so I had to work to like not be disgusted by just like normal food. So I like when I see food getting really gross to me, I'm like, that I'm gonna never be able to eat that food again. I better just leave. Yeah.
Have you ever had a corn dog?
Yeah.
I don't like
Will
them
you
to
still
begin
have
with.
a corn dog?
Honestly, like maybe not. Like and it's because I think about the licking of it. I'm like, that's too much.
Okay, when they were putting them up them, was that real corn dog or was it
Yeah,
like
I
in the
have seen
butthole?
Chartreuse put a lot of things in her holes, and she is very talented.
she's not non-binary?
No, she is a woman. She's female.
Yeah, Glow Job was like, this next performer, you're going to love them. So I just assumed they, them, but
Yeah. Okay, here's how I met Chartreuse. Is that I would do a performance at the box, a squirting performance. And because I had one issue where my body did not work, they didn't ask me back for many years. And then I got a chance to redeem myself and go
Oh my
back.
God, that's crazy.
And after I did, I think she was like, who's this bitch who's using my song? Because we had the same exact like,
Hilarious.
remix of Maniac from Flashdance.
Yeah. Wow.
And then someone's like, no. She did her act before yours. She just hasn't done it in a while. So she's like, okay, we're cool. And she was talking to me about that. And I was like, oh, well, what's your act? She's like, well, I come on stage and I do a bunch of exercise things. And then I pull like a bag of Coke out of my pussy and do it. And it goes crazy. And I was like, can I hire you?
yeah.
And that is how I met her.
Oh my, so there are real corn dogs.
Yeah.
But I don't think she put them in her ass.
Oh, so
No,
where
it
did-
was in her pussy.
Yeah.
She's also did
okay.
one where she like did a really fun like sitting on a pumpkin pie for a like October party I did once.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, putting the corn dog in the pussy to me is less gross than the eating. I don't know. It was just eating it in the way that I was like, it's too many trips in and out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like, so I didn't even know this was one of the best performances I've ever seen. She's very good at what she does.
Yeah.
And I've hired her before for acts. I was talking to her. She was supposed to do one like I think a year or two ago, got COVID.
Yeah.
Had to cancel for the show. And for this one, I was talking to another performer. They're like, oh, Chartreuse is a great act where she fucks a corn dog. And like she was telling me about it. And I was like, cool, sounds great. That'll work. This is not what I expected. I don't know what I expected. This was not it.
It was so
good.
so good. And horny.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you
No,
were
but I was going to ask,
disgusted.
did it get you horned up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It was, I just like, I don't know, I've become such a stage bomb with performers, and when like they're just doing such a good job and like their storytelling is on point. Even someone was saying like at the end after she's like fuck the corn dog and squeeze the mustard so it explodes like she's
The
game.
cum, yeah.
And then she starts putting her clothes on like she's
Like all
embarrassed.
shy.
That's amazing.
And one of my friends was like, I thought she actually was embarrassed.
Yeah.
Until she started selling corn dogs again. And it was like, that is how good she was.
Yeah, no,
Like,
she's an excellent performer.
Truly.
I got horny as a byproduct. Okay, and then there was audience participation, which was so fucking funny because they were like, okay, we need 3 people on stage. And at first this like straight cis guy was like, I'll do it, like all like gung-ho and shit, because I think he thought something would happen to him.
Yeah.
And then it was revealed that it would be a dildo sucking like flavor
That was so
testing
good.
contest. Like a bunch of people had to suck on, would you call them dildos?
Yeah, there was a condom on a
Yeah.
dildo, different flavor condom.
Different flavor condoms, yeah.
Yeah, but
And-
here's the thing about that, because I told them initially, I was like, pick 3 people, make sure that not all of them are femme presenting.
For sure.
And I was like, but here's the thing, I feel like so many cis dudes would be like, oh, I'm not going to do that. But
some would.
For any cis dude who
Yeah.
would do that, guarantee you he's getting laid that night.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Guaranteed. So joke is on you.
For sure. The
Yeah.
puppet, I did not know their gender, but they seemed
I think they were a gay man.
okay.
Yeah.
And after watching them suck the fucking dick, I was like, I
Yep.
want to hook up with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like anyone with that much security in their own sexuality, gender, whatever it is hot.
Yeah.
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 Just no matter what.
It ended up being a guy, not this guy. That guy like left the stage immediately when he saw them come out. He was like, oh, no, not me. So another guy and then 2 girls. And it was just an amazing, they all really went for it. They weren't just like licking.
Yeah, they were
like,
good.
I was like
they were,
curious to see the
showing
approach they
their
were going to take.
expertise.
Yeah.
Like everyone was like, I can deep throat. Look how I twist.
Yeah.
When it was really just a taste test. Like technique had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I did start to see that though. Maybe it was helping them taste it. Because also maybe like getting into I was like, maybe they have to get into the mindset.
Yeah, spitting on it definitely helped them.
To me, it makes sense. Like because you know how flavors are also like artificial flavors can like you have to like get into your mindset of like, wait, this is a Jolly Rancher though. Like, so what's the grape in that? Like you had to remember that it's a condom. So maybe sucking it like a dick would help your brain like do that extra translation on like this is a sex toy thing. Like or this is like a sex product. I don't know. To me it made sense. That I would have to like suck it like
To me,
a real
it made
dick.
sense because I thought everybody was like advertising themselves for later
that
on. In the
I
evening.
also
I
think
figured it was going to
good.
go like one of 2 ways. People are either going to show off or they're going to act like it's the grossest lollipop they've ever licked
Yeah.
and just like slightly.
Yeah. I think also I thought they were just forgetting where they were and they were just sucking it like they would suck it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you get into it when people cheer you on.
What was funny was the one person who had trouble finding the dildo because they're all blindfolded.
Yeah.
Right? And they're like bobbing around. Yeah.
Finding it.
Just like went down.
Yeah.
But he was great.
Yeah.
Would love to have my dick sucked by him if I had one. The next one, another needle trigger warning, was a dominatrix who, oh my God.
That was the craziest. Ooh.
This was wild, but also her outfit to begin with.
so
I was
hot.
like, I need to buy all of this and wear it on Halloween and pretend that that's the only reason why I want it. Like,
Was it like the black strappy number?
yeah,
Yeah.
with the like mesh
Yeah.
long sleeved leotard, big black boots, fucking slick ass braid. Like it was like Lara Croft, but sex.
Oh, that.
But even more sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an amazing.
And what's her name?
Lady Dragon Tears.
Lady Dragon Tears.
Yes.
Yeah. So she comes on stage and she's got her bunch of whips and she's cracking her whips and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, we're about to see so much blood. And she brings out her little bottom bitch and puts him like basically in the middle of the stage with his arms out. And he's got a cute little outfit too. He's got just like little black panties on, and then like it looks like leather garter belts and like a leather like kind of strappy thing on top. And she proceeds to put big needles with rose heads through his arms, like down his arms on both sides, like piercing like in and out and in and out. And they and
That
you
was
had
crazy.
no problem watching that?
Oh no, I had a problem watching it, but in a way for me, it was like one of those things where I'm like, okay, like push yourself, Bets. Like,
Yeah.
I like wanted to handle it and be like, he's doing it. Like you're just watching it. Like
Yeah.
you can like get over it. But it was interesting for me because I was like, ooh, I felt myself like getting all like clenched up in my body, and I was like, maybe that's the point of the show. Like I'm starting to get it. Like that is the whole point. Like
Yeah.
get past it. Like you're gonna be fine. Like they're fine. You
Yeah.
know. So like be able to watch it, and then maybe that'll like have something carry over.
I was filming it and was like wincing at the same time.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, but I still want this evidence.
Yeah.
And that does that make you wince at all or no? You've been
So
around it
what
enough.
I've learned from going to a lot of like needle classes, I'm fine with needles. It's the blood that gets me.
See,
usually.
the blood doesn't
For me,
bother
it's not
me.
the blood either. It was the
I get,
idea
like,
that the needle was long, and I kept thinking about like, what if someone like accidentally knocked him or something?
Yeah.
Well, but then that was part of the thing.
Yeah, then they were
because
intentionally knocking it,
She whipped every rose head off of each needle thing.
Yeah.
2, Kissed by a Rose by Seal.
Yeah, that
Yes.
was cool.
It was very talented and very amazing, but also a lot of like, oh, like I could feel the whole crowd
Yeah.
kind of like tense up together. But
But I
to
could
your
also
point,
see
maybe
this person
that's-
enjoying it, like the.
I think he did.
And I was
loved
like,
it.
that's like, I was like, try to remember this is like fun, and like I'm like, don't need to have like a empathetic like worry for him. Like he looks into it, and then I kept also thinking about Rem. You're into vampires too.
I know. Yeah.
We both think vamps are so hot, and I was like, why do I like love True Blood and like a hot vampire? And I can think of like that fictional thing of like a person wanting this done, and it's consensual, and that like turns me on. So I was like, why is this so different? I don't know, because this is
Yeah.
a real person who wants this done.
Yeah. And
like-
whenever I'm watching vampire shit, I'm never like, "Ugh, it's going to take those holes a really long time to heal.
Yeah, I'm like,
you know,
that's
and
hot.
that's all I could think about with him.
And like he like licked his own blood at the end.
He
He was
did.
into it.
Yeah. I think he
wonder.
smeared it on his face too.
He
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like something that person does. Like, actually, do you know if that's something they do at home?
I literally asked her
Yeah.
afterwards because I was like, first of all, where's your fucking outfit from?
Yeah.
And 2, I was like, if you guys do this on stage, what are you doing at home? And she goes, the same fucking thing.
Yeah. That's cool. That's like makes me feel then like that's what I was thinking was the case. And I'm like, that's like, I bet that this person is so like fulfilled to be like getting kind of like the audience positive feedback for like this thing that like
Yeah.
is so like niche to them and probably turns them on or makes them feel so powerful.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's what I kept trying to remember too. Like they're like, this is empowering for them. They're loving this. So
Yes.
yeah.
And then the piece de resistance was Lola coming out
The most shocking thing I did that night.
with the tap dance.
Correct.
She comes out in this clear little raincoat
Yeah, that's
over
cool.
her bra and underwear with little tap shoes and an umbrella, and 2 friends also wearing like ponchos that you would get at like Jurassic Park the ride. And they both have super soakers, and she does this cute little fucking singing in the rain tap dance, which you said was like the most you've ever had to rehearse.
Correct.
Yeah. It looks really hard.
I had to learn to do a TikTok dance.
Yeah.
And then the super soakers and a bunch of other umbrellas come out and they start just soaking everybody, and they hide you, and you have this like little burlesque moment where you get nude. Well, I not topless,
No.
but bottomless, and get exposed while we're all getting soaked by super soakers in the audience, which was really fun because it was like, oh my God, we all just got squirted on. Like it was like very immersive. It was like the Pirates of the Caribbean, right? You know,
Yeah.
like lots of rides.
At this point, was Singing in the Rain playing or was Umbrella playing?
Umbrella.
What's the first song?
Singing in the Rain is
was-
playing while I'm
yes.
tap dancing.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And then the umbrellas came out with
Yeah,
umbrella.
and that's when I was
Yeah.
like, "Whoa, it's so cool." Also, I loved like that umbrella
Yeah.
dance, and it was just like that.
And you had a was it a kiddie pool or like a vat?
This is my
rubber-
usual vat that I've
the
broken
rubber
every
thing.
record in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It stays in my basement. Very easy to clean.
And she just starts with the hand, because that is regulation, doing the up and down kind of flat palm
little windshield
motion,
wiper.
little windshield wiper, and squirting ever so much.
Yeah,
like
that's why.
I was so impressed by the amount, even though I knew about that, but also more impressed by how clear it was.
You look hydrated.
You look hydrated as fuck.
Yeah.
And then there was this amazing part where it was like a cheerleader pyramid, basically.
Yeah.
And one of your friends had one of those like silly little umbrella hats and went right below Lola, and she just starts squirting all over this person's hat.
Yeah.
It was really something to behold. Like, I can't believe it's taken me so long to go to one of them. And I'm so happy I like got over my fear.
They're
because
so silly.
They're so silly, but they're also like, when else are you going to be able to see this shit?
Truly. A lot of these performances are performances that only happen once a year at Cirque and
Yeah.
never anywhere else.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't, but a lot are. A lot are created for Cirque.
How
That
did you
was
feel
wild.
about the final performance?
Oh yeah, I loved it. I was like crying. I kind of didn't know what it feels like to squirt, but I could I was imagining it, and I think I imagined it right. I did imagine that you must feel like a major release, and that you must feel like really like great, just like kind of the sneeze thing. I was like, I bet that feels like great, like a big sneeze. So I was like having that like vicarious feeling for you. I was like, fuck yeah, girl. And I was like, oh my god, she's still going, like and this is in front of everybody and everyone's astounded. I was like, I don't know, I was like, it kind of made sense of like when someone runs a marathon or something. I'm
Yeah.
like, you could do anything, like
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah,
like,
truly.
that is so wild. And I was like, I'm gonna like run tomorrow. I don't know why, it made me feel more like excited about like my own physical like abilities and health, and like and then you just said that now, so I was like, okay, I was not wrong. That's like kind of the point.
And I think when you see people do things that are vulnerable or brave or out of their element, it makes you feel like I can do anything. That person
Yeah,
just put
that's
it
true.
all
Yeah.
on the line.
Yeah.
And it was really beautiful. You looked amazing. Your
Yeah.
body is out of control. You're like powerful dancing. I was like,
My
this
biceps
is like
are the strongest
Rihanna.
they've ever been right now. The
Your
pictures,
biceps?
my biceps are,
Yeah.
and like the pictures from that night, I was like, I look so jacked.
You look
were very
amazing.
jacked.
And also just like the look on your face. I was like, she is so powerful. Like this is like a goddess. Like you just
Well,
like,
she's goddess
you're
Lola Jean.
channeling all of this. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I think whenever a woman has an orgasm, it's adding like positive energy into the universe. And I know that's not the same as orgasm, but to me it's connected.
Yeah. It also, like the thing you were saying about like people applauding the thing that you do in private.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't just like, it was like a huge community effort, because it was like, yes, the audience was so into it, but like it was like all of your friends on stage who were like
Yeah.
doing this thing with you. It was just very like, oh my God, like look how supported she is.
Yeah.
And like literally
Oh, I
supported on
also-
some of their shoulders.
Also supported by non-friends. Like I
Yeah.
met random people that are your fans, you know, and they were all like, how do you, they like saw us talking to you. So they were like, so you know her? Like, and I was like, oh my God, do you know her? And they're like, I mean, I'm a fan. I don't know her. I just like watch her. Like, and I was like, also they seem respectful too. They're like, I'm not going to like bother her by talking to her, but I
Yeah.
think that's really cool. And I was like, that's cool too. You shouldn't. You know?
Love that.
Yeah, I thought it was so cool. I was really impressed just by the whole like powerful, I don't know, it just seemed very like feminist power. I felt like the yonic power of your body, and like me being like, okay, that's me too. I can do anything. Also, I had been in a little slump myself. Like I had been telling Rem, feeling a little depressed, that affecting me in my like self-view, like as a sexual person too.
Yeah.
And so then just seeing that, I'm like, nah, like get it together, girl. Like you have a body. That means you have like a playground, you know?
Yeah.
That's like, you have everything.
Yeah.
And again, it's like my squirting journey was my body did something I had no idea it could do. What else does it do that I don't have any idea?
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
we're not going to stop learning either.
Yeah.
We just have to continue to be curious.
Look at this picture I have.
Is this of me in the pyramid?
No, I didn't do the pyramid because I was literally like
Watching.
in awe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this one is like the end of the performance when like you have like this one little cheerleader guy and he's like in his like little girl cheerleader outfit, like with a skirt and all this shit. And then you have just a biggest smile on your face and a pom-pom covering your crotch.
She looked awesome. That's so cool.
And that like
And
that
like,
happened.
look how happy
like,
everyone is. It's so
that's
cute.
so cute.
That's cool.
And then this one that had the umbrella
This
hat.
was
Aw, like
so the funny thing
so
was
happy.
like they've actually been our like squirt bottom for past performances because this is something that like was a fantasy of theirs, and we're like, well, we're making dreams come true.
Yeah.
So I asked them if they were available because they're a nice person. I liked working with them, and I was just like, your cue is once we go into the cheerleader pyramid, just get under me any way you can, just get in there. And we got up in the pyramid, and I was just like, where's our bottom? And then all of a sudden, they just appear between my legs. I'm like, ah.
that's amazing.
It was amazing.
It popped out.
But yeah, this is the fourth one that we've been doing in the new era, but technically the fifth if you include the very first one. That was my unintentional first time producing a giant event.
Cool.
Yeah.
So but this was a huge event. How many people came?
I think probably somewhere around like either 100 to 150.
Nice.
Yeah. The first one was 300, and I don't know if we're ever gonna get that close again.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was really fun. And then you and I had talked at this event because I was telling you, I was like, I really want to go to a sex party, which is not the same thing. And we were discussing that several sex party places have been very much canceled, and we've had friends have uncomfortable experiences there. And I'm like, if I'm to bring Ben to one of these things, I want him to be cozy.
Yeah.
You host events now that,
Yes. Semi-regularly, but
yeah,
like quarterly at this point.
but they're not just parties where sex happens, they're also where instruction happens.
Yeah, that's kind of just like the vibe that I've had, because it's really of like, what's the kind of play party that I want to go to? And the play party I want to go to doesn't have any substances, is sober, happens at a reasonable hour. So now we've switched to the afternoon on a weekend, but also has like organized fun. So it's not loud music. You can talk to people, you can choose to opt into something or not. And it's really evolved based on feedback of people who come to the event. So like, what do you want more of? What do you want less of? And it continues to evolve with that. But a lot of the feedback we get from like the kind of people that we're trying to bring to these parties is they love the instructionals. They want more of them.
Yeah.
And it's not like you have to participate to do this. Some of them you can do on your own. Other ones you may need with like another person. The last one too, I had a bunch of porn just like airing on the side on a projector, like with no sound. And porn has gotten so much better in the past 5 years. I used to really not like it at all. And I was watching it towards the end, and I was like really turned on by it, and had some of the best sex that I've had with my boyfriend after the party. And it was actually the first time that I came during sex, like penetrative sex.
Whoa, congrats.
And it's like, all right, let's watch more porn.
Nice.
Let's watch more lesbian porn, really, only. Because again, I don't like penises.
And you said he doesn't love sex parties in general, or like usually.
Yeah, I think they make him uncomfortable. They feel really pretentious. People are always like, it's like when you're having a conversation with someone, you might feel like you're leading someone on.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, if you're talking to me, that means we're going to fuck. It's like, no.
I think that's how we felt at the first one that we
a lot
went
of
to.
ones are like that,
Yeah.
though. It's like, it's very transactional.
I feel like that at any party anyway. I actually felt like less like that at that party, because I was like, I did feel like that at first. And then at that party, at some point I was like, oh, like these people have like probably some sort of like protocol where like they're actually not, you know what I mean? You're probably safer. I don't know about how that party.
But remember that there was that one guy who was like watching us with the motor bunny, and
Yeah,
like,
I do remember
every
that,
time he spoke
but
to
I
us,
feel
I
like-
was like, "Go away," because I don't want you to think that this is for you.
Right. No, that's true. But I feel like there's always creeps around. So I feel like that's interesting that you could feel that way at a sex party. But I'm like, I also do feel that way sometimes at parties anyway. Just for like being, my personality being I think perceived as like flirty by everyone because I am a chatterbox. You know?
No, sometimes somebody will look at me and I'm like, I made them fall in love. Oh my God. How awkward.
And it's like, I'll still have that moment sometimes where I'm like really getting along with the person and they're kind of like, wait, are we going to fuck? It's
Yeah.
like, no, we're not. I'm just getting along with you. That's really it.
Yeah.
But like that's also with these like really, a lot of places say they're very consent forward, but
Right.
I have a different vetting process than other people do. And I think like at the party we had this past weekend, like anyone who the party was not for saw themselves out. Like it's not going to be a comfortable place for you.
Yeah.
If like you don't fit into certain types of categories. And it's not just like who you are, it's how you interact with people. Like things aren't going to work out for you if you don't make an effort to talk to someone in an environment where it's not like everyone necessarily knows each other. But I went to this play party in Spain that really inspired me. And it was a sober party. It was at a reasonable hour, and it was titled as like a sex party without the sex, a sex party without genitals. So like it's not focused on the genitals. And they have like a screener with each person before the party. And the organizer was talking to me, and he's like, if you are expecting to get something out of the space, you're going to be disappointed. And I was like, I love that. Can I steal that? I love the way that he phrased it, because it's like, if you're expecting something particular from a party, like a space isn't going to give that to you. I'm creating the space, the people within it, they create the party. I create the norms that they act within, but you're not promised sex. You're not promised someone who's attracted to you. Like, you can't just show up and the party comes at you. If you want a party to come at you, come to Cirque, but like a play party ain't that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting too, because I feel like that's a good attitude in life at a party. Like, again, at a regular party. If you think that you're like that's reminding
I'm
me
going to
of
go
girls
and meet someone.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I know so many girls when I bring them around and they're like, no, I don't see any single guys, like, let's go. And I'm like, well, you could still, make a new friend. Or I don't know, if you come in with that attitude of like
transactional.
And so entitled to like people being interested in you. Then you're like, then what? Then you're not even, then why aren't you interested in it? Then you're not giving anything either,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So what was that party like? So was it make out party, or like why no genital? Like what was the no genitals?
It was so it's called sensorium. So it was really focused on sensations. So you were supposed to bring something for like engaging in the senses with someone, whether like one of my friends brought massage oil and was like, I really want to get or give a massage. Other people brought ice cream. And they're like, let's feed each other ice cream. And yeah, I mean, it was really like I was visiting in Spain, so I didn't really have anything to bring. So I was like, I'm just going to bring myself. But it was just, the main focus was just like really just like the expectations were not to have penetrative sex, not to have oral sex, like not focused on the genitalia. And like it can end up in that, but it's not the point of it. It's not that is not allowed.
So cute and romantic. That sounds fun. I feel like that's what really parties should have anyway. Like,
and the group of people was great. I just ended up hanging out with a lot of people. Like, I fucked some of them, but hung out with most of them.
But did you fuck them after? Or
towards the end of the party, I had actually there was me and like a friend of a friend that came. We met this couple who actually knew who I was and recognized me, but were cool about it. And then we were playing with their ice cream, and it was just like, okay, put the ice cream on a part of your body that you would want me to lick. So it's like that gives the consent that we had like agreed to of that. And then we kind of like paired off with them, and me and this one guy, we were trying to figure out what are the things that each of us likes that are things that both of us like. So he talk about like spanking and impact play, and I'm like, not really. Like, and finally we found, he's like, oh, I really like primal play. I'm like, love that.
What's that?
Primal play is something that's really open for interpretation, but at least our understanding was like very like animalistic. I like a lot of biting and clawing and scratching, animal noises. And he was just able to like read my body really well and responses. And man, I had a lot of bruises from the biting, but I also forgot how much I love biting. And like, I was so pumped after that. Like I texted like all of my partners back in New York, and I was like, so we're adding biting to the agenda.
Hilarious. And this is pre-boyfriend, or this is?
No, this was this past summer.
Okay. And
so
you guys are open or?
We're open. I don't think he really has a desire to really do much outside of it. He's tried it before. He's like, not for me. It's too much emotional energy. And for me, of like what I've tried as we've been dating has been, I have time for like sexual relationships outside of ours. I don't have time to be on a dating app or the energy. And I also don't have the energy to have any kind of like committed outside relationship. So like my other partner, well, I guess had a wife, they're getting divorced, but had a wife. So it's like, okay, that is your first commitment, I guess not anymore. But it was just like a nice expectation. And then also it's like, I can play with people I meet at parties. That's whatever. He's not ready yet to hear about it. He wants to get into a place where he feels better about himself. But it's something where, like, I don't know, I think it makes me appreciate him more because, you know, a lot of people, it's like, oh, you're great, but you're kind of annoying to talk to, or or we don't have the same interests. I think your taste in music is dumb. Like all of these things, it really makes me appreciate him. But also there's things that I can like bring back to him. Like I forgot I liked biting. And also this person, like they bit me on my vulva, which I've never had happen, and I liked it.
Whoa.
And I would have never known that. How would I have known that?
I bit a vulva and I liked it.
Like Leif's so scared of hurting me, so I'm just like, I played it out.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Like it helped me realize a lot of things. Or even like there's stuff that I really want that Leif will never do because he's such a nice, sweet boy.
Yeah.
And I want someone to like kidnap me and kind of Stockholm syndrome me consensually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's just like, okay, I'm happy that there are other people that can do that and that I don't have to.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that.
Or like there's certain things that just make him so uncomfortable.
What was that?
Something outside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought Ben like fell.
He's like at the door.
It's like, is he okay?
So cute.
Well, so one, thank you for inviting us to this show. I feel like you've invited me before, but I didn't really have the impetus.
I feel like I invite you to each one and you don't.
do,
Which is
yeah.
like, and you don't have to show too.
But I think in the beginning of How Come I was so gung-ho about learning stuff because I was like trying to accomplish a goal
right.
for myself.
Yeah.
Like I always say, like you guys might be like, you're doing the Lord's work. I'm like, remember, I did this for me because I wanted to figure something out. And then I think it kind of like tapered off where I was like, okay, we can learn about other people and stuff, but like I don't really need to put myself at the center of learning or watching or doing anything. And so I kind of feel grateful for the drought that it inspired me to be like, come on, like let's do some more fun shit and push ourselves out of our comfort zone. And I'm really grateful to Betsy who like,
thank you.
You literally like, I was like, who would even go with me to this? Because like Ben's all the way in Jersey. He's not making it to Brooklyn. And I was just like, but Betsy's always down. Like Betsy actually got both of us from Jersey to Brooklyn to go to an outdoor movie. And baby. It was amazing. But she was like, of course we're going. Like I'm planning to go to a concert and I'm canceling it because
like I'm getting out of it is what I meant.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. Well, also Rem, I was so excited. What you just said too. Like that's also when you said that you had that drought. I'm like, this is good. Like
this will get us
you're
out of
plateaued because you got to do something. You know what I mean? And now look at you. You're doing all these things differently and trying things to work on your mental health and stuff. And it's awesome. It's not going to like be anything bad that comes from like something like that.
That's what's so interesting that your parties are sober too. Cause I'm like, I don't smoke weed anymore.
Yeah.
And that used to be like a big draw to the one that we went to. That was like, it was so much weed going around. And now like, I'm like, oh, this would be pretty cool.
Yeah. And the thing too is like, I mean, I've been to plenty of sex parties where I like have left crying and had a horrible time. And I still learn something about myself where I learn of what triggered that, or what do I need to be comfortable, or what type of parties do I like, what type of parties do I not like. So it's, you know, anything you learn, it's still something new you learn about yourself. Yeah. But these parties have evolved. They used to be called Play Fight Play Party, and there was a lot of like kind of play fighting and wrestling, which is just different ways of interacting with people. But it's really evolved to now it's called Daytime Playtime. And the theme of it is just around play, whatever that means to you. So we still have some kind of wrestling and struggle play demonstrations, but we were also having possessive touch or learning to use touch for connection and connecting with yourself through touch. So it's really open to interpretation. And I think also like the feedback I've been getting from people is that like the sobriety aspect makes people comfortable who like it isn't even about their own. It's that they don't have to worry that like other people at the party are going to be fucked up, or like they don't like to talk to people who are on drugs. Or some people were just like, I like that your music is low so I can hear people talk and I don't have overstimulation. There's like or even like how the lights were on more or whatever it is. There's so many different aspects that draw different people into it.
And they happen at this place that is not a gym.
It is not a gym.
Even though I'm still picturing a gymnasium. Like I think it's because of the wrestling aspect.
I mean, there are mats and there are mattresses.
Yeah.
But they are separated. But it is at a place called Hit Me Up I rent from them from this party, so it's not affiliated with them. However, like I think they're wonderful, and I teach for them a lot, and I go to a lot of their parties. But they also don't have any daytime parties either, so I'm filling holes in more ways than one.
Yes, you are. And you can go to them either with a person or by yourself, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to go with your person, do you have to engage with anybody else, or can you just do stuff with them?
No, it's really up to you. I'm
Okay.
trying to find more ways for people to like kind of be able to flag or engage with each other to know if like, hey, we're open for business or we're not. It's not an invitation to all, but I think a lot of people come with a desire to
Wearing
meet new
green,
people.
yellow, or red.
Yeah.
Which is like, but that could even mean you could be like, I'm really down to meet new people, but not you.
Yeah.
Which is also totally fine.
Yeah.
But where there's different types of like exercises I'm taking from different consent educators and like kind of like placing in at different moments. Cause like I told you, I pride myself on curation of just like, how do I get people to engage with each other in a certain manner? But we've had to, like, there's been parties that end up being mostly single people, parties that are mostly couples, parties that end up being like, there's groups and more orgies that are happening. It's parties that are more gay, parties that are more straight, parties that are just bisexual as fuck. It's across the board of whoever we happen to attract at that time. It's still like my parties aren't big enough where it's like, it's the same kind of a thing each moment. But there's no expectations. We have dungeon monitors that are there to like, if anyone makes you uncomfortable, whatever that means. It could mean that they're leering. It could mean that they're staring too much. It could mean that they are too close. Like whatever that means to you, like we want to know about it because we want to confront them about it.
For sure.
And there's also no phones allowed because you don't have to worry about people taking pictures, but also you're there to engage with other people.
Yeah.
Not your phone.
That's interesting. When you were talking about the dungeon monitors and also trying to figure out how to navigate like making people comfortable with advances or if they're into someone or not, maybe in addition to the dungeon monitoring, maybe they could also be doing like little matchmaking. Like maybe there could be someone there who's like, if you have a crush on someone, this is just an idea. Maybe if you have a crush on someone, you could tell someone who works there and they could present it to the other people. Just an idea.
Yeah. It's because I think as an organizer, I think of always the worst case scenario of what could happen if we implemented this or what are the wrong ways people could take it.
Yes, of course.
And I do want to encourage people to be able to have these conversations.
Totally. Yeah,
and
that's
talk,
a good point.
Because you don't need the middleman, but I think I like them for having somebody to report to because
correct. I'll tell you the one so this one is, I don't know if you know, I believe it's Betty Martin, Wheel of Consent. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but she is an exercise that I'm going to do for the next one where you walk around the room, you make eye contact with someone. When you make eye contact, you say no to each other. One that allows you permission to make eye contact with someone.
My dad's here.
Oh, hi, Joel. I thought that was Ben.
I did too.
Because it allows you permission to make eye contact with everyone at the party. You're also saying no. So you're practicing saying that. But it's a nice exercise to get people engaging in a prescribed way that I'm really curious about implementing.
That is interesting. It also is kind of like, it's like exposure therapy if you're afraid of saying no or of hearing no. You're like, okay, you already did it once at this party, so you can hear it or say it again, you know?
Yeah.
I'm low-key like checked out now because Joel just came in. I'm also impressed that he knocked. He usually never knocks. Unfortunately, I want to wrap this up now. But before we go, I would like an assignment from you guys. But before the assignment, I have to be pretty forthcoming. We are talking about shows and stuff. And today I was just in bed and I was watching this new show I discovered from BBC called Moulin Rouge. Yes, we can. And it is about the dancers of Moulin Rouge trying out and trying to get into it. And Moulin Rouge is a real place. It's a burlesque show. The girls are topless. I watched that shit. I got so horny. I haven't even done my assignment from last week yet because it was to get like a blanket and like rub between my legs. But I was like, I want to try something, tried and true. And I feel so turned on right now that I know it will work.
Whoa.
That I had 2 comes today.
You did?
Full ones.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Holy crap. Okay, well then now it's still good. I mean, you can still do things to like expand that in all the ways that you can, but I'm sure you must be so relieved.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Ben got here and I was like, I came today, and he was like, what? And he gave me like the biggest high five.
It's huge, babe.
And I like told him what was happening. He's like, I want to see it. And I was like, the show or me come?
Yes.
He's like, yes, both. But that being said, just because I didn't want to, lie.
No, that's great.
I still will take assignments if you guys are willing to give.
Absolutely.
I have one I was thinking about already. Wait, but first now this new news might affect, the show news might affect me. What is like it about the show that you like so much? Is it their outfits?
I was going to say the costumes.
Yeah.
And like it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I also grew up doing ballet. A lot of these girls, it turns out, are ballet dancers that were too tall for ballet and then thought their careers were over. And now like tall is perfect for burlesque or perfect for the can because it means longer legs and higher kicks. Their makeup is done so nicely.
Yeah.
It's like Vegas showgirls, but like more chic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very sexy.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, can I tell you what my assignment?
Yeah.
So the one I had in mind, it still works with this, and you don't have to do it if you're not into it, but if you want to do it, I'm into it and I'll help you. Mm-hmm. I want you to do so previously my idea had sort of like a spooky theme, but also burlesque. the Moulin Rouge works with it. I wanted your assignment to be like a really raunchy burlesque photo shoot of you as a vampire.
You always want me to do these things.
I think it would really...
And with Betsy as the photographer.
I'm saying I will help you with it and I will be the photographer, but I think it's not just... Because I knew it was going to be the costumes. It's not just the costumes. I think you need like the scenery.
The scenery. Yeah.
I think you need... and I would make it a nice setting. I don't need to be the photographer, but if you want, I would make the backdrop... And I would art direct. If you want, Ben could shoot it, but I would shoot it too. But I don't
want him to shoot it.
Okay.
I'd rather you shoot it.
Okay, I would love to shoot it.
If you don't want Betsy to shoot it, I actually have an idea. One of my very good friends who is not only a dominatrix and a burlesque performer and a photographer. She just opened up her own dungeon space in Midtown area. And if you wanted to be the prey to a vampire, she could suspend you via rope and then take the photos of you too.
Whoa.
Or any other combination that you want.
So she's a legit.
Well, Bets, what
she's
I
great,
definitely need from you is then we need to go costume shopping.
But I do think just from all of my like listening in to my mom, a lot of like women's like sexual dysfunction hangups can come from this like lack of like willingness to like fetishize yourself, like fantasize about yourself. You know?
For yourself
whenever
and not for others.
Whenever I dress hot, Betsy gets like very pumped.
Yeah, you're literally a knockout, and you like don't,
Yeah,
and
It's
it's
like dress whatever makes you feel comfortable. Though.
And
totally.
Yeah.
But I think I think I would feel more comfortable if Remy would let me slut her up a bit. I think of you in a Moulin Rouge corset. Are you kidding me?
I already looked up the Moulin Rouge costume.
Some chokers,
Yeah.
some teeth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you should
I love
be a
it.
Moulin Rouge
Like by teeth, I mean
person.
vampire teeth. If you want, I don't know why it does. But we're just both into vampires, so I think that's a hot look.
I did a Fantasia birthday party in college.
That's so
And
cool. Wait, oh my god, you kind of look like the girl, the
Jessica.
Erica's like assistant. Eric, yeah, I said Erica. Eric's like hot best friend assistant, the blondie.
A little bit.
That's a good. Or you guys, I don't know. I just think you being slutty vampire, and then also there should be photos that are really well done so that you can always look at that and remember it.
Ben has a joke about role play or whatever. He'll ask the audience members, like, have you guys ever done role play? And then he tells this lie that we have before, which is, it's just not true. But he's like, yeah, Remy wanted to do vampire role play. And I thought it would be like, oh, sexy Twilight vampire. And then it was like, good evening, blah. I want to suck your dick.
I literally always thought that was true because I could see you doing that.
I did. It's because I bought vampire fangs just for fun. And I was like around the house and I'd be like,
yeah, but you and Ben, the way you interact, it always is so cute and cracks me up. You talk almost like always in silly voices about even romantic and serious things. So it's like,
it's true.
I love you. And it's like,
true.
That's so cute.
All right, Lola, do you have an assignment?
I do. It's kind of a two-parter because one of them's a blast from the past season 1.
Okay.
But so on my website, lolajean.com, I do have a lot of free courses, including these two. One of them is the masturbation class that you went to.
Yes.
Now has an audio version that I have re-released, a brand new 2023 version. One for people with vulvas, one for people with penises.
Great.
Before you do that one, though, I have one recorded class called Libido Awakening. And I want you to listen to that class then before you do the guided masturbation, which you can also find on Spotify, iTunes, whatever your listening platform is.
It's amazing.
But really focusing on, we were talking a lot, I think, on today's pod about like, where do you need to be in a place where you can feel aroused, where you can feel desired, of like, what is that for you? And then being able to ride with your desire, ride with your libido, wherever that is. Because often we just tell ourselves these lies that like, I am a low libido person. I can't do this unless this, when it's more about working with our body and meeting it where it's at. So having that as like a grounding and an understanding, especially from, I guess, where you were previously of like losing your orgasm or losing your desire or your pleasure. So I think that will help with finding it, but then bringing back that masturbation class, because what that's really about is discovery, not necessarily orgasm.
Yeah, and I can do it at home now.
This is true.
Which I did like the community aspect.
Yeah.
But this is nice too, to just like be in your space.
Yeah.
Not necessarily if your fucking dad is going to walk in, but I'll do it during work hours. That's amazing. You guys, this has been so much fun. I'm so excited to do both or 3 of these assignments. I knew bringing you guys back on would be perfect.
Yay.
Betsy, where can people find you online and follow you?
I'm on Instagram as Betsy Carroll, BetsyCarroll. And I'm a stand-up comic like Remy, so I post my shows there.
Yep. LolaJean.com. Where can we find you?
You can find me at lolajean.com, the website. Also, those are all of my social media handles.
Spelled out.
lolajean.com with the DOT spelled out. And from there, you can sign up for my email list, find my online classes, see anything that I have coming up. More pressingly, I have November 4th online. I'm doing a possessive touch workshop that you can either choose to do along with us or just sit there and watch and learn. And I just bought a house, so I don't have a whole lot going on after that.
Congrats, Lola.
I'm trying to nest.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You guys, I have to ask these questions after a sexual experience. Betsy Carroll, did you finish?
Always, baby.
Amazing. Lola Jean, did you finish?
I did.
And so did I, if you guys can believe.
Yay.
Thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you guys next time on How Come. Goodbye.
Bye.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help, 'cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna just
Yay! I hope you liked that episode. It took me 9 million years to edit, and obviously, because it's so long, I forgot how long we recorded for. Anyway, if you want to hear an uncut, even longer version on patreon.com/howcome, it is there. And there's a lot of stuff that I cut out, mostly Betsy fiddling with the mic or breathing really heavily whenever Lola would say something that was horny to her. And I'm the only one who wears headphones during, so I was like, what is that sound? And eventually I'd be like, Betsy, you're breathing really hard. And it's not in a shame way. It's oh my God, it's so cute. You can hear her getting excited in real time. So I cut that out just because I don't know. Some people don't want to hear breathing, and it's mostly me just being what is that? But that's what that was. So if you want an uncut version, patreon.com/howcome. Thank you to those patrons who already subscribe. We love you. And yeah, have a nice day.